What is server-side rendering? What is client-side rendering? Which one is best? Where we have to use SSR? Where we have to use CSR? You don't have idea? Let's follow this video till the end. Happy to see you all once again. This is a third tutorial of Pretzel series, server-side rendering and client-side rendering. In this technological growth, every seconds we are growing with new technologies, upgrades and innovation. So we are in the need of analyzing those things and adapting with us or upgrading with us. The same way, now multiple programming languages and scripting languages support SSR and CSR approach. So we are in the need of understanding what is SSR approach and what is CSR approach, where we have to use SSR, where we have to use CSR. Okay, let's start on this tutorial. We will get an idea on this. This is our agenda of tutorial. What is server-side rendering? What is client-side rendering? Server-side versus client-side rendering. Let's start. First, we will go with the client-side rendering. Minimum amount of content get ready from the server and passed to the client. Remaining content get ready in the client request. Consider you are giving some web request from your browser, so you are getting the website. For getting this web page, you will have the two types of approach, that is client-side rendering and server-side rendering. So if you are getting the only partial amount of content from the server and remaining content get it ready from your browser, that is called client-side rendering. Let me see. Here you can see client sending the request, we are getting the response for that response having the client template. Plain template mean some placeholders alone. Also it will have JS and CSS reference. In this time your monitor will be still empty, not getting any content. So second, our JS and CSS reference again going as a parallel request. So CSS will get response, after that it try to render styles for the UI. Still our HTML content not fully ready, so our monitor, our screen not getting the contents. So after getting the response of JS, the JS and JSON data, based on that it will bind the UI. So after that we are getting this screen. So you can see in the client side rendering, after the couple of requests only we are getting the content in the UI. This is a client side rendering. Let's move on to the server side rendering. What is server side rendering? Maximum amount of content get ready from the server and pass it to the client. Few content and events alone get ready in the client side. For example, you are giving the request, so 80% of content will get ready in the server itself and it will send the response. So remaining 20% of content, even some max 100% itself coming from the server itself. So only the event alone will get ready in the client side. Client sending the request, so we are getting the response. We are getting the entire content. Previously in client side request we can see here we having the template, but here we are getting the content and JS and CSS references. So parallelly the CSS and JS references getting executed. So in the initial itself you can see we are getting the content. The second, after getting the CSS we are getting applying the CSS. After getting the JS rendering we are binding the events alone. So the user feel the page getting rendered before the time itself. Compare the client side, in server side we can see as the page faster. Okay, client side versus server side rendering. Let me discuss about what is the benefit of client side rendering and server side rendering, when we have to go for client side rendering, when we have to go for server side rendering. First, the SSR is good in performance, because the performance aspect, the SSR is loading entire content is very faster, right? So it is good in performance. The SSR having better SEO performance, because the SEO search engine optimization having some level of parameters. So for example, they will have the parameter like which website getting rendered very faster. So in that case the SSR approach is rendering very faster, so the SSR is giving the better performance, SEO performance than CSR. The CSR is faster at initial load, because the SSR will get render maximum amount of content from the server and it will load it in the but CSR will get only the minimum amount of content, and so the initial request, I mean initial load, the CSR is better, but the user can't able to view the full content of the page because the CSR will do the partial content. So this is advantages of CSR. In CSR, no full page loaded or reload required. For example, in SSR, we are getting the 100% of content. So whenever we are doing update or modification for reflecting those things, again we have to go to the server and re-render it. So in CSR approach, not like that. If you are doing some modifications using the Ajax call alone, you can able to bind the partial content. So this is a variation of SSR and CSR. So we could not directly say the SSR is the best or CSR is the best. It is based on the requirement. So where we are using, for example, based on some user activity, the page has to render. So in that case, the CSR is a better way. So some cases it's like some static content or form kind of things. We are going to get the information. Those time the CSR, I mean SSR is best. So based on your requirement, you have to finalize which one you need. Okay, in real world, we can able to combine both also because the maximum amount of SSR contents and minimum amount of CSR content. That's the reason right now most of the languages is support both SSR and CSR approach. Even the best example, React having its support of both SSR and CSR. I hope you are clear. We will discuss about the other things in next video. Bye. See you.